Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Liam Naden. And I'm so happy that you said yes to our interview today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Caroline. Thanks very much for having me here.
Wow, amazing. I would love to introduce you to the audience first. You are a speaker, teacher, writer, and researcher who went from millionaire to homeless before discovering that success depends on how we use our brain. As the creator of the 4-part brain model and brain rebalancing and host of the Let Yourself Off the Hook podcast, you teach how to harness your brain to reach your full potential. Liam says we are not in control of our life, but our brain is. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Liam Naden. Wow.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, my first question. Can you share how your journey from wealth to homelessness led you to understand the brain's role in success and failure?
Well, probably like all of the people listening and watching, and maybe even yourself as well, I'd always been a seeker of success. I didn't want to just have an ordinary life. I wanted to have a great life. I wanted to be rich and, travel and do lots of exciting things, live my dreams. So I'd always been very focused on those things. And in fact, I did very well on the outside. And I became, as you said in your introduction, I became successful. I became a multimillionaire. But something really interesting happened to me through even the process of becoming wealthy and really successful. And I think one particular time I remember very clearly, one particular day, and I just was putting the finishing touches onto my brand new luxury home that I was building. It wasn't quite finished, but it almost was. And as part of that home, I had built myself a music room because I'd been a musician earlier in life and always dreamt of having this amazing home with my own music room. So I remember this particular day going into the music room and sitting down and looking out. It had a magnificent view over the mountains. This is in New Zealand, where I was living at the time, my homeland. And I remember sitting there and the sun was streaming through. I remember saying to myself, I've done it. Here I am, I'm living my dreams. Everything I dreamt of, everything that I'd put on my goals list and everything I thought I wanted, I've got it. I've got this amazing home. I've got millions of dollars. I've got freedom. I've got 2 businesses that give me income. But the funny thing was, instead of feeling really grateful, really excited, and really feeling, wow, I've made it, I felt the opposite. I felt absolutely stressed, frustrated, almost crying with frustration and stress. And I remember saying to myself, what's this all about? Here I am, I've got everything I thought I wanted. Why aren't I happy? Why am I the opposite? Why am I so miserable? And why do I have so many problems left in my life? And I mean, for many people, I'm sure they can relate to this because, you're busy trying to achieve your goals and be successful. But you keep asking yourself, why can't I enjoy this? Why do I have these problems? And of course, for many of us, and for what I did, most people, they try and suppress their feelings and say things like, well, problems are natural. Problems are part of it. You're always going to have stress. You're always going to have problems. You have to learn to deal with it. But that's not really what we want. We don't want the stress. We don't want the problems. We don't want to just have to deal with it. We want to get rid of it. That's why we're trying to be successful in the first place, is to get rid of the stress and the problems. But I remember saying to myself, is this really all worth it? Has it been worth it? Maybe it would be better if I actually lost everything, started all over again. I think that would be preferable to what it feels like right now, which is it feels like I'm losing my soul. It feels like my energy, my life force is being sucked out of me by all the stress in my life. So, they say you have to be careful what you think about or what you wish for, because it was literally within a few weeks that I did lose everything and I became homeless. And, the house went, my marriage went, the businesses went, the music room went, everything. And I had to, as I say, move in with my elderly mother, sleep on the sofa in the living room of her small apartment. And I literally had nothing more than the clothes on my back. And I had people calling me and wanting money that I obviously didn't have. But there was something worse than losing everything, because when I said maybe I should lose everything, I didn't really know what losing everything meant. Because it's not just the stuff, the things. For me, it was who I thought I was, my sense of it, my identity, everything that I thought was true. You know, I'd been one of these people who thought, I know how to be successful. I know how to set goals. I'm super motivated. I know how to make money and go after opportunities. But here I was, I'd lost everything, and I didn't know anybody. I had no opportunities whatsoever. So it's a really dark place when you can't see you're totally confused, basically. And I had two questions that kept coming up in my mind as I was going through this experience. The first one was, why has this happened to me? Because again, you know, I hadn't just been a person who worked really hard. I'd studied success. I'd been to all the seminars and the workshops and read all the books by the gurus about goal setting and changing your beliefs and working on your subconscious mind and NLP and all the, you know, meditation, spiritual practices. I'd done this for years, and I could quote every book and every guru that you like to name. So I thought I knew all of this. So I thought all of this information about how you create success in your life, how you have goals and all of those things, it's not working, because if it was, this would never have happened to me, because this wasn't on my goals list to lose everything. So why is this happening to me? What have I done wrong? What have I missed? And the second question I had for myself that I kept asking was, well, what do I do now? Because I didn't know anybody. As I said, I was in a strange town. I'd lost all my business contacts, and I had no clue on how to get out of the situation I was in. And the funny thing was, or it turned out to be a really good thing, was the answer to both of those questions. Why has this happened to me? And what do I do now? The same answer kept coming back into my mind. And you know what that answer was? I have no idea. I had no clue as to why it had happened to me and what to do next. But something really interesting happened, because I don't think I would ever have done this if I'd been in any other situation. If I hadn't reached this place of absolute rock bottom, I would never have done what I did next, which turned out to be the key to everything. And subsequently, I've learned is the key to how we get results in our life, despite what we think. And that is, I gave up trying. I just simply gave up, and all my energy had gone, and I said, you know, I don't know why this has happened to me. I don't know what to do now. I give up. I'm not going to go looking for opportunities. I'm not going to try and figure it out. I'm not going to try and struggle and work hard and try and get myself out of this situation. Forget it. I give up. Don't care anymore. And what I didn't realize is that was the turning point. And it's all to do, and we'll talk about, I'm sure, how your brain works, because what happened after that was just quite hard to understand, at least initially, because a new business just showed up out of the blue. And then another business, and then a new relationship, an amazing relationship, just literally came to me. And all of these things started to happen, that not through my own effort, but they just showed up, all these really good things. And it wasn't too long before I was living a different sort of life. I started out with my new partner, and we bought a new motorhome, and we traveled all around New Zealand for about 18 months. And then we moved to Europe, and we bought a new yacht, the first of 3 yachts. Actually, yacht number 4 is on the way as we speak. And we just sailed around Europe for the next 8 years. And then whilst managing at the same time from our yacht a couple of businesses that were giving us all of the income. And so this was really weird that all this was happening. And it wasn't just all of this freedom and these great experiences that I was having. It was the feelings I was getting. Because remember, before I was saying I was in this stress, I was getting good stuff, but I was in this stressed, terrible state, thinking, I hate this, I'm not enjoying this, this isn't giving me what I want. But if you can imagine, and I remember another clear moment, being in a bay in the Greek islands, a little bay at anchor in your own yacht, and you get up in the morning and the sun's shining, you just fall off the back of the boat for a swim, and you get up, and then you just stand there, and your businesses are running themselves all around the world. and you're making money overnight and you don't have any problems. Everything's working really well. And I remember then in this instance having that feeling, this is what I've been missing. This is what I've been looking for. I really feel like my life purpose is doing exactly what I'm doing, not with stress, not with problems, but this real sense of knowing that you're being your best, you're being yourself, and life is really working for you rather than you having to struggle against it all the time, because that's what it felt like. So when this was all happening, and I remember this experience, I said to myself, well, I actually do have a problem. Only one, but I do have a problem. And that problem is, I don't know how this all happened, but I know I need to figure out why it happened and how it happened, because I want to make sure it keeps happening. I don't want to do anything that stops this good stuff from happening, because it was and it still is, this feeling and experience of coincidences or synchronicities or things that happen to you. And I thought to myself, I really need to figure this out, because something very weird is going on. Because how come when I was really trying hard and setting my goals, always learning more, trying to get more information, trying to understand, trying to be a better person, trying to develop myself, why is it when I was doing all of that and working really hard that it created all the stress and problems in my life and ended up with me losing everything? Whereas now all of these amazing things are happening and giving in a far more fulfilling and better way. And yet the reality is I'm not setting any goals. I'm not chasing after any opportunities. Everything's coming to me. I need to figure out what the difference was. And the difference I discovered once I back engineered it is all to do with how we use this thing called our brain. And that controls everything.
Yes, I understand. And now this is the cliffhanger, right? The hook for my next question. I love how you talked about success, losing everything. And I realized, I think there was missing the gratitude or the realization what you already accomplished, because it wasn't fulfilling. You said what you did, you reached your goals, but it was not, the feeling was not there. And then you had to lose everything in order to appreciate it, and it came better. It came better. It came back in a better way, in a bigger way, maybe. And I think, and I feel it. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I have another question for you. Let's see if this is aligned as well with to let you continue sharing your story. What is the 4-part brain model, and how can it help individuals maximize their potential? Of course, it continues.
Well, it's a funny thing, when I mention the brain, sometimes people roll their eyes and go, oh, yes, we know about the brain and the mind and the subconscious mind and all that. People don't know about the brain, and they don't know what it actually is, because the missing point about your brain is to think about what actually controls your life. You know, and I used to be like this, we're out there busy trying to make things happen. We have our goals. We know what we want, or we think we do. And we want all of these things in our life, and we create all these plans and strategies, and we learn things on how to reach those goals, to get the things that we want. But the fact is that all of that, you can forget all of that, because nature rules everything. So you can be out there busy trying to plan your life, but if you go against the laws of nature, it's going to sabotage you every time. You're going to lose every time. And that's what creates struggle and stress in our life, is not realizing that we need to work with nature, not against. I mean, you imagine, standing on top of a 10-story building, and it doesn't matter how much you meditate, how much you pray, how much you convince yourself, or whatever tricky mind technique you use, if you walk off that building, you're not going to fly in the air, even if you convince yourself that you will. The natural law of gravity is going to take over, and you're going to fall down. So we need to understand this. We are natural biological beings, and we live in a natural biological world that has rules about how things work. And it also has a rule as to how we are wired, how all living things are wired, what we're here to do biologically, what every living thing is designed to do biologically. And that comes down to, in fact, if you ask any biological scientist, what's the purpose of life, including human life? How does it work? How is it designed? they will all tell you that nature has one overriding purpose, and that is to survive. Every living thing is designed to maximize its opportunity to survive, to try and survive for the longest time possible. And of course, to do that, what that means is thriving. Because the better an organism, we can talk about ourselves here, the better an organism or a living thing is, the healthier, the happier, in our case, the stronger it is, the greater the chance it has for survival. So all of nature is designed to make sure that the organism is as strong as it can be, it's the best that it can be, so that it has the greatest chance for survival. So that means all of nature is literally wired and designed for success, including us. We're designed to be our best. We're designed to be the best that we can be because that's what gives us the greatest chance for survival. But what we also don't realize is that nature just hasn't made this a random idea. Over hundreds of millions and billions of years, nature has designed organisms their own ability to make this happen. And it's given every living thing, a machine, if you like, or an instrument or a tool, to make sure that it stays being the best that it can be so that it has this greatest chance for survival. And that tool is a brain. So your brain isn't just designed to keep you breathing and alive. It's designed to make you the best that you can be. It's designed to make sure you live at the highest level possible so that you survive for the longest that you can. So what does that mean? That means being happy, being fulfilled. It means not having stress, not having problems, because stress and problems don't help you survive. They don't make you live longer. In fact, you know, we all know that stress actually shortens people's lives. It's what creates disease in our physical bodies as well. So we're not naturally designed to have stress and problems. So why would we have stress and problems? Why is it? Because if you say to people, do you have any stress? Do you have problems? And they say, of course, it's natural, isn't it? Well, it's not actually natural. Why do we have stress and problems? It can be only for one reason, and that is we're not using this machine the right way. Now, if you think about any machine, if you think about a motor car, very simple, straightforward machine, only has one purpose, to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And you don't have to worry about it, that it's going to do that. You know it's designed to do that. It's not thinking for itself. That's exactly what it's designed to do. But it will only do that if you drive it the right way, if you know how to drive it. If you don't know how to drive a car, chances are you're going to create problems and you're not going to get to where you want to go. You're not going to be using it the right way. Well, the brain is simply like a motor car. It's a machine designed for one reason, has one purpose, to make you the best that you can be so that you have the greatest chance for survival. And problems, it turns out, are simply created when we're not using that machine the right way. And when you do use the machine the right way, and this is what I learned by accident, that I was now using my machine the right way. You don't have to have problems in your life. Your brain will make sure, like all good machines, that it does its job and make sure you don't have problems in your life. So that's what I learned about. That's where I started to put my attention, if you like, in my research as to how does this machine work. And it turns out there are 4 parts to your brain. And I'm not talking here about, you know, the subconscious or the conscious or left hemisphere or right hemisphere. There are 4 separate biological areas in your brain that each have a different function. And when you use those 4 parts the right way, you don't have problems. You don't have stress. You live in your natural state, which is thriving and being the best that you can be. So that's why I've created a 4-part brain model, which is a simple way, if you like, a non-technical way of understanding how this machine works. And the exciting thing is once you get it and you go, oh, well, that makes total logical sense as to how the brain works, then you start using it the right way and you see yourself much more easily solving any problems that you have, and a lot better at creating, should I say, a lot better at not creating problems, new problems in your life, which is, you know, certainly what I used to do, was keep doing these things and thinking, why did I do that? It was a stupid thing to do, and now I've got all these problems. So that's what my 4-part brain model is all about.
Wow, I love your explanation about the brain, and also to break it down and to simplify it, to explain that we don't have to deal with all those, I think, biological or psychological words, I
Mm.
think. Yeah, I could understand it, so thank you so much. And let me ask another question about your podcast is titled "Let Yourself Off the Hook." What does this phrase mean to you, and how can others apply it in their lives?
Well, let yourself off the hook again relates to this idea about how your brain works. Excuse me. Because the way you actually create results in your life, good and bad, the things you want and the things you don't want, is actually very little to do. Well, it's a lot to do with the way you think, but it's more importantly, or more accurately, the way you use your brain. And so if you try and make your life work, or try and achieve your goals, or try and solve your problems through force and struggle, all that's going to do is keep you stuck. It keeps you stuck in the same patterns, doing the same things, the same mistakes, the same behaviors, because you're using a particular part of your brain that is going to keep you stuck, that is going to keep you doing the wrong things, and it's going to keep you with stress and problems. So the idea with let yourself off the hook is because that's where most people are trying to create their life from, is stress and struggle, and they're trying to force things to happen and figure things out, and have their visualizations and their goals, but it doesn't really work. So the idea with when you let yourself off the hook, you stop using stress and struggle to try and force things to happen, and instead you recognize that you're part of this universal intelligence, that when you allow this natural creative energy to flow through you, which you do when you activate another part of your brain, not the stress struggle part. So when you let yourself off the hook and activate this other part is the machine. It does the job it's designed to do, which is to lead you down the fastest and easiest path to you being the best that you can be. But it doesn't happen through force and struggle. It all comes down to this particular use of a brain state. You either use the struggle part or you use the creative part. And this is biology. I'm not talking here about any sort of, esoteric theoretical idea. This is pure biology.
I understand, and I'm so grateful that you shared this with us. You said in the beginning, I think you don't set goals anymore, and maybe you set intentions, or you don't set intentions. What do you set instead, or what would be your advice to people who set goals, still set goals?
Well, the funny thing about goals, when you really think about this, and in fact, I've interviewed both for my own podcast and got to know people as clients who work with me, because I work with a lot of people who are in that state of going, well, I'm successful, but is this all there is? How can I get the feeling of success, and how can I get some freedom in my life to actually enjoy my life? So the thing to realize about goals is they're not natural. Remember I said nature rules everything. And if you really think about it, one of the other laws of nature, we've mentioned a couple already. One is the law of gravity. Another is the law of thriving. That's the law of what biology is about. There's another law of biology, which is what I call in simple terms, the law of conservation of energy. And what that means is everything in nature is designed to give the maximum amount of result for the minimum expenditure of energy. And this makes total sense from a survival point of view. I mean, going back millions of years to when our human bodies were developed, we might not have been able to eat for a week, but we still had to have the energy to go and find food after a week of no food. So we had to learn how to conserve our energy. Every living thing is like this. So so how does this relate to goals, you might say? Well, just imagine your brain would say to you, this is your ultimate goal. This is really, you want to know what's going to make you happy? I'm going to tell you this is what's going to make you happy. Now imagine if those years ago, when I was living on my mother's sofa, somehow I managed to develop a technique or find out what would really make me happy in my life. And my brain, or infinite intelligence, or whatever if you like, said, now Liam, write this down. This is your goal. Your ultimate goal is to be sailing around the world on your own yacht, just enjoying going wherever you want to go, and managing your businesses remotely from your yacht with a wonderful partner. And you're going to be learning about how the brain works, and you're going to be sharing some information with people from all around the world that they've never heard before, and that finally makes some sense to how we get success in our life. And you're going to be sharing this really quite groundbreaking information with people. Now, if I had written that down, if somebody had said that to me, whether, a voice from heaven or whatever, I would have said that's utterly ridiculous for two reasons. Firstly, I didn't believe I could ever achieve it at the time. What are you talking about? Sailing around the world, talking about the brain? What's the brain? It's this, and sharing. I would never believed it. And the second thing is, I would never have known that that's actually what I really wanted. It would never have been on my goals list. And so the reason, but what would I have done? What would I have done for those two reasons? I would have doubted it. I would have questioned it. I would have said, no, that's not right. That's not what I want. I need to analyze. I need to get some more information. Is that really what I want? What do I do to achieve it? I can't achieve that. What am I doing? I'm wasting energy, a lot of energy. I'm not getting out there and making it happen. I'm not taking the steps that are being shown to me to make it happen. I'm just wasting all of this energy. So that's why your brain never shows you, or virtually never, there's a few exceptions, but virtually never shows you what your ultimate ideal life is going to look like until you get there. Now imagine another thing your brain might say, okay, well, I'm not going to show you your ultimate goal, but I'm going to show you the next 10 things you need to do. Okay, and so for some magic reason, I come up with a list of 10 things. So now what am I going to do then? I'm going to look at it and go, step number 3, I don't know if I really agree. I don't understand. I don't know if, would that really need to step number 4, or would there be another step that you haven't thought about? I need to go and do some research. I need to think about this. I need to analyze this. What are you doing? Again, you're wasting time. You're not operating biologically efficiently. So the most efficient biological way that your brain has to ensure that you achieve your ultimate life of being the best that you can be, which is your biological purpose, is it only shows you the next step. It shows you the very next thing to do. And all you need to do is just take the next step. Not think about it, not worry about it, not analyze it, just do it. And know that your brain is guiding you, particularly if you're using the correct part of your brain. If you do it out of stress and frustration, you're probably taking the wrong step. But if you use the right part of your brain, which operates completely differently, it operates out of creativity and awareness. If you use that, then it's going to show you the right things to do. And so many people I've talked to, successful people. I remember talking to a gentleman who was incredibly successful in business. He had a company, he had 1 million customers in 85 countries. He had 500 staff. He had 2 private jets. And I said to him, how did you achieve all of this? How did you achieve your success? Because we always think, well, I'll ask somebody successful how they did it. And he said to me, I really don't know. He said, it was never on a goals list. If I'd had a goals list, that would have been sabotage. That would have been limiting myself. I could never have dreamt this is what I achieved. So I don't really know how I got here. I just did what showed up. And that's, if you really talk to any truly successful person and they're honest with you, they will say the same thing. It just happened. So that's why getting hung up on goals and thinking that that's the way to do it, it's not natural, and it's not the way you're going to naturally achieve and become your best. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. I totally understand. So I found the missing pieces to understand with my brain all the questions I had for you today. Thank you so much. And tell us, please, this is my last question, where we can find you in the internet when people want to reach out to you and work with you. How does this work?
Well, if people, pardon me, if they're listening or watching, the quickest thing and the best thing they should do right now, pull out their phone or whatever and send me an email to course, C-O-U-R-S-E, at liamnaden.com, just my name, course@liamnaden.com. And what you'll get is access to a new mini course, an audio mini course that I've created, how to unlock your problem-solving brain. Because everybody's bogged down with their problems, but there's actually a simple way to deal with problems. There's a simple way to get your brain to work on a problem for you to bring you a quick solution. And we've all had that experience where, you've been struggling away trying to figure out how to solve a problem. And then suddenly you get the idea, when you're not even thinking about it, you get this new idea and you think, that's the answer. Why didn't I think of that before? Well, the reason you didn't think of it before is the part of your brain where that answer came from, you haven't been activating it. So in this course, which is free, totally free, and you can find it at course liamnaden.com. Just flick me an email. You'll also find it on my website, which is liamnaden.com. But in this course, I show you exactly what to do, how to unlock this part of your brain. And it was interesting. I was talking to a gentleman recently, or someone contacted me who did this course, and he said, this saved me $10,000. I couldn't decide what to do about this particular issue I had in my business. And I suddenly, using this technique that I share in this course, he said I could suddenly see what I should do, and it saved me $10,000. So it's a really powerful idea, a really powerful course, and it's totally free. So if you're procrastinating out there, just course@liamnaden.com. Flick an email to that address and you'll get it straight away.
Oh, thank you so much. This is what I will do after our interview now. Thank you so much. I learned so much. And yeah, this was our interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to connect with you. Thank you.
Oh, please reach out to Liam. He's amazing. And I see you in the next episode.